I'm really pleased to actually introduce you to our next guest speaker, Suzanne Paynter. Susan is the Strategy and Policy Advisor for the Future Business Council, which represents the interests of innovative, sustainable and ethical businesses that are redefining Australia's future economy. Suzanne is an experienced consultant helping clients manage complex projects across government, private and the not-for-profit sectors. She has previously worked as a ministerial advisor and in senior roles in state government, managing defence, industry and trade portfolios, and is currently a director at the Bendigo Bank Murrumbina Community Branch Board. Suzanne is a law and international studies graduate from the University of Adelaide and a current MBA candidate at Monash University. Please welcome Suzanne. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sue. Good morning, everyone. So, things are changing. We are transitioning to a new economy. And the purpose of the Future Business Council is to support that transition and the next generation of businesses that are going to define it. The next generation of businesses, by the way, are the ones that support initiatives like the ASX Principle 3 amendment that Sue alluded to, not the ones that stand in the way. They are the businesses that recognise that the things that have gotten us to where we are today are not the same things that will see us thrive in the future. For those that aren't aware of the Future Business Council, we are an advocacy group. We create pathways for better ways of doing business. We advocate for sustainable change, and we influence policy and decision-making processes. We create and connect a thriving community of like-minded, innovative businesses that collaborate to generate tangible outcomes and build critical mass to influence and have an impact. And as thought leaders, we are a hub of valuable insights, ideas, models and frameworks, a trusted source of information resources that help our members keep up to date on major trends and make informed decisions about how to run viable, future-focused businesses in the new economy. And it's on this last point that I'd like to talk to you today. The fourth phase of the Industrial Revolution, significant demographic shifts, continued globalisation, the decarbonising economy and climate change are all forces that are profoundly changing our lives and economies, and they're doing it really fast. Take radio, for instance. How long do you think it took radio to reach 50 million listeners? Throw out some numbers. 38 years. 38 years for radio to reach 50 million listeners. Television, to reach the same number of viewers, 13 years. The internet, 4. Facebook, 2. And Pokemon Go, that virtual reality app that had people running around the city trying to locate a non-existent Pokemon in a physical sense. How long to reach 50 million users? 19 days. And that's largely thanks to just one of these factors, Industry 4.0, the convergence of the physical and the human worlds and cyber worlds in this network of resources, information, objects and people, enabled by massive amounts of data, supercomputing power, analytics and human-machine interaction, meaning that organisations can now reach 50 million users in 19 days. Now, this raises not just technological questions, but deep social questions. What does it mean to be human and do business in this new digital world? I've mentioned the new economy. It's not just about going digital. I'd put to you that the new economy is one characterised by sustainable business, innovation and ethical practices, all leading to stronger triple bottom line outcomes for Australia: social equity, environmental sustainability, and economic prosperity. In 2018, the Future Business Council released The Next Boom, a report that draws on previous work and a range of other data across different regions and sectors. And what it shows is just how quickly businesses and consumers in Australia are adopting new technology and how the shift to more sustainable business and a low-carbon economy has accelerated over the past 2 to 3 years. The report concludes that in the new economy, there are 3 primary drivers that are creating boom conditions for business. They are changing consumer behaviours, exponential technology advancements, and regulatory shifts. On the consumer front, as we've already heard from Sue, people are willing to act. Sustainability Victoria conducted a survey that shows 4 in 5 Australians, and Victorians in particular, are motivated to take action, particularly as it relates to their purchases. Similarly, Qantas released research showing a compelling case for them to respond to this change in demand, with 75% of their respondents citing a preference for environmentally responsible organisations. Now, a leading example of consumer-driven market change can be seen in fair trade products. Retail sales have continued to increase year on year. Demand for organic food products is also following the same trend. In fact, demand now outstrips supply. The recalibration of financial institutions is occurring alongside this discernible shift in consumer tastes and preferences. Australian investors are signalling their demand for financial products that not only maximise returns, but better align with their personal values and better reflect the true cost of business activities. And many mainstream financial products, including securities, bonds and superannuation, are now being geared towards meeting these demands. Research indicates that 92% of Australians expect superannuation and other large investments of theirs to be invested ethically. Advances in machine learning, automation, blockchain, 3D printing, energy storage, they will all see the economics and benefits of new technology transform markets. Advanced manufacturing is already allowing previously uneconomic value-adding processes to become viable again, particularly in the food, motor vehicles, and minerals processing areas. Now, this, coupled with the cost trajectory for lithium-ion batteries as technology improves and manufacturing scale increases, will have a profound effect on energy and transport markets. Globally, from 2016 to 17, there was a 56% increase in sales volumes of electric vehicles. There are now more than 3 million electric vehicles on the road. By 2022, electric vehicles could reach cost parity with conventional combustion engine vehicles. The superior running and maintenance costs, together with these emissions advantages, mean that they are an inevitable choice in the not too distant future. But this will generate radical changes across sales networks to the nature of ownership, repair and maintenance, fuelling, parking, infrastructure, and so on. And then we have another example of technology, seeing the advent of the clean meat emerging as a significant disruptive force. The cellular agricultural revolution, of which clean meat is a part, promises to lower rates of foodborne illness, greatly improve environmental sustainability, and allow us to substantially increase the volume of food, particularly meat production. Clean meat could potentially be produced with 96% fewer greenhouse gas emissions, 45% less energy, 99% lower land use, and 96% lower water use than conventional meat. It is expected that this cellular agriculture and plant-based meat will become a social norm. Lab-grown meat prices have fallen 30,000 times over the last 4 years. It's now just 3 to 4 times that of regular ground beef. So you can see that when prices reach that of conventional meat, demand is expected to explode, and the ricochet effects, the immense impacts on the Australian economy and the future of agriculture will be enormous. Now, policy, regulation and government-led initiatives play a critical role in facilitating this transition to the new economy. The 2015 Paris Agreement represented a landmark achievement for international climate negotiations. It garnered unprecedented support from the international community. Similarly, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, also agreed by more than 190 countries, has provided a comprehensive framework for a more sustainable and equitable world economy. However, in Australia, our current national policy settings seem somewhat out of step with our world peers. In particular, our 2030 goal of 26 to 28% emissions reduction. The states, they are opting for more ambitious emissions reduction targets, and this has opened the door for further investment in renewable and sustainable technologies. Take Victoria, for example, the first state to legislate for renewable energy targets, and in 2017 legislated for net zero emissions by 2050. Every 5 years, the state government will implement reduction targets for the interim phases to reach that goal. South Australia now stands at the vanguard of Australia's transition to renewables. It's home of the world's largest lithium-ion battery and has plans for the world's largest virtual power plant. The Victorian government also became the first in Australia to issue green bonds, raising $300 million to finance a range of new and existing projects that deliver environmental benefits. In early 2017, a $750 million bond, a green bond issued by the Queensland Treasury Corporation, became the largest issuance in Australian history, instilling greater confidence in the domestic green bond market. Now, there are numerous other examples of opportunities that are resulting from these changes taking place in the world. And there are many avenues through which governments at all levels, Australian businesses and individuals can capitalise on this boom. For governments, this ought include providing a vision which positions Australia as a leading 21st century economy and society, one that has a highly skilled workforce, with an innovative government and businesses, and that can position itself as a leading global citizen, developing a stronger, more decisive emission pathway reduction, incentivising growth among those businesses that will define the future economy, facilitating the uptake of electric vehicles, driving innovation, and developing a tax policy for the future economy would further enable this boom. And businesses need to be ready to catch the boom. Business leaders need to be globally aware, cognizant of these trends and forces that are rapidly shifting their markets. And what's more, they need not just be aware, they need to think and act global. Pokemon Go. The tyranny of distance that once plagued Australian trade is no more. Australian businesses have an enhanced capacity to reach new customers, markets and supply chains overseas. Businesses here can leverage technology and they can use sustainability as a catalyst for innovation and leadership on important issues. Australian company directors, they must be acquainted with the climate-related risks that are posed to their businesses, and they need to treat the management and mitigation of these risks as one of their fiduciary duties. And individuals. We are ultimately, in our capacity as workers, consumers and voters, the locus of change. The decision of individuals, our investment and purchasing decisions, our choice of employer, our choice of government, will drive the next boom. But we can't just sit back and wait while the change happens around us. Australia is at a watershed moment, with business and consumer demand putting us on the trajectory to becoming a potential world leader, if we act. So I encourage you all, as individuals, as businesses, and any policymakers in the room, to act, to start the conversation, to create a blueprint for the future economy so that we don't miss out on the next boom. Thank you.